Has Dungeons Dragons finally fixed the monk?
Big question, but...
Today, Wizards of the Coast released their biggest Unearthed Arcana playtest ever, with new looks at 7 classes for the upcoming 2024 Player's Handbook. Remember, don't call it one D&D. The most intriguing of these classes is our first look at the monk, with designers attempting to correct the class's damage output to bring it more in line with other melee-focused classes. So, did it live up to players' expectations? Did the monk finally get fixed? We'll dig into that after you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Now, let's talk about what exactly changed with the monk. The monk got an overall boost with its damage dice, with all of its damage dice getting upgraded by one size. So what was once a D6 became a D8, and so on and so forth. However, the monk isn't exactly the DPS machine that some fans were hoping for, although it has gotten some pretty cool new utility features that seem like, wholesale upgrades. Those include an upgraded Reflect Missiles ability that can now deflect any sort of ranged attack at level 13, and a new Empowered Strike ability at level 6, which allows a player to upgrade their damage to force damage. There's also a couple of improvements to the monk's defense at high levels, with a superior defense ability that grants resistance to all damage for a minute, and a Defy Death ability that allows a player to instantly gain HP when they drop to 0 HP. The Defy Death ability, by the way, is the monk's new capstone ability, which you may remember from our last video was returned to level 20. Now, a lot of these abilities are fueled by spending discipline points, which is basically key points but renamed. Now, one of the big issues that some people had with this is that Wizards of the Coast said that they were going to have a new monk class that reflected all manner of martial combat instead of just the kind of standard Eastern/Asian tropes. But that really isn't reflected in the new monk class. Everything that we see is basically martial arts focused that aligns very closely to either previous subclasses or, what we think of as traditional monk tropes from the past books. Now, on the plus side, the Monk's Warrior of the Four Elements subclass is much, much better, with the monk able to create explosive blasts of elemental damage and add elemental damage to their unarmed strikes. Now, for the record, the monks, the previous iteration of the Warrior of the Four Elements was apparently the lowest rated subclass in the 2014 Player's Handbook, so obviously this was something that needed to be fixed, and given the popularity of Avatar: The Last Airbender, they couldn't just drop it. They had to make an improvement. Now, for the most part, the monk is basically a retooled version of what came before. It's still a melee class with very limited ranged options, but with a higher amount of utility, and it still has the same issues with low HP as it did before. You may remember that the monk basically needs to have a high dexterity and wisdom score in order to have any kind of high AC because of their unarmored defense, which basically means that they're never going to have a high constitution score, and that's really a detriment to this class. While the damage it does is still an upgrade, the monk is still going to be in serious trouble if it takes a real punch, at least until it gets to higher levels. So basically, what we're saying, and our opinion is, this new monk is definitely an upgrade, but it's not really what we were hoping for. So, what do you think of the new monk? Let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.